Hey, everybody. Welcome to Not A Cigar Show. Okay, maybe a little bit. I'm Fred Rewey. This is episode 5150. It's not. I lied. I lied about all the episode numbers, but the episode number does have something to do with the guest. So if you figure it out, shoot me an email. You're not going to win anything, but you'll get bragging rights. So there it is. My guest once traded military fatigues for silver and leather and never looked back. In 2003, he launched Room101. It's a mashup of jewelry, cigars, craft gin. Basically, after falling in love with the Asian art and Ellie's jewelry scene, which I'm guessing, but we're going to find out ourselves. Today, he's known for turning wild ideas into cult products, from cigars, like I already mentioned, gin. He even jokes that his son doubles as his in-house attorney, providing a little bit of look behind the tough exterior. There's a dad with a wicked sense of humor. Please welcome Matt Booth.
I am overwhelmed with how polite that was.
Wasn't it?
I think it was a sensational introduction.
Working on it. I'm actually working on that. Like someone after like literally episode 3 is like, dude, if you're serious about this, you got to introduce them. I'm like, okay, well, one, I'm not serious about this. So let's just start right there. But hey, it is.
That's what people that are serious about things say.
I know.
That's
do my own thing. Right. Where are you?
Me?
In the world,
mentally,
in the world,
spiritually,
no.
I'm in Spokane, Washington.
God, we can't start that deep. We can't start that deep.
I don't think we could even say the words that would be required to properly articulate that type of positioning on your show.
No,
even if you're not serious.
My T-shirt just came from like 20 minutes from you. Coeur d'Alene, Golden Monkey. This is my
it's
my namaste squirrel.
I like that.
So yeah. Anyway, so. Those people that are just listening on iTunes or Spotify are like, dude, what the hell, man? Stop making the video references, but it is what it is. So I'm going to launch right into this. So you're the only person I'm like, I can't take any logical order with letting people know who you are, your background. Like, it's just like, everybody's like, oh, tell me your origin story. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is you got to understand, you are entering into the world of me trying to show you who Matt Booth is, and just hang on for 55 more minutes of we have no idea where this goes. But let's talk just surface out of the gate, very high level. When you think about your legacy, which is jewelry, cigars, gin, art, all this stuff, what do you want to be remembered for? Because I hate the term Renaissance man, because I just think it's just this term that's thrown on 90% of the people that don't deserve it. But you really are. You've got this short attention thing where you're involved in so many different things.
I mean, I think, Fred Rewey, I would like to start by saying I hate you and I hate cigars. I hate the fact that you've put me up to this. I detest it.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, hold on. Wait a minute. That's completely incorrect. I have to go back to my therapy. I actually greatly appreciate you. I'm so bitey. I'm on edge. It's the cigar. It's the entrepreneurial PTSD that you accrue over the years.
You look like you're in a park. You look like it should be a very serene setting for you right now.
I'm serene as fuck right now, Fred Rewey, and I'm going to tell you why. Because one, I'm face to face with you, someone that I have known for a decade plus. And I have great respect for, and I'm actually very grateful that you put me up to doing this show. And it's never lost on me, man. You do these things where, you put yourself out there, and therefore you're going to be examined and critiqued and absorbed. Right. Hopefully, like if you're doing it right, you're kicking up enough dust that you're noticeable, right?
Right.
And then if you're noticeable, people are going to have some things to say about you, and people are going to want to talk to you, in theory, which you're talking to me right now, which is a reflection of said dust being kicked up, right? Now, many, many times I go through this little song and dance, this little charade, this volley of conversation, this exchange of information. But there are people that stand out for one reason or another over time. Because as you do anything, by the way, is this heavy machinery bothering you? Because it's loud as fuck.
I can't hear it. I can't hear it. I can't hear it.
Okay, good.
So no, unless it's just in your head. It may be just in your head, actually.
But what if that is? Oh my God, the sawing and grinding.
It could be.
The grind.
If this is like an aneurysm, this episode's going to blow up.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's not. I mean, just saying. If it does, I
Not
want you to
yet.
know that there'll be an upside. There'll be an upside. I
Not
just
yet.
want you to know that. All right,
I got
focus.
insurance.
Focus.
So my point is the intro was greatly appreciated. And I think you covered a lot of things that are lost on folks. And I mean, if what you're doing is trying to get raw and voluptuous amounts of authentic information out there into your, listeners' mind pipes, then, I think you did a great job with with seeding the soil of this forthcoming conversation with these little notes that you did there. So I appreciate
Right.
the intro. So I
Cool.
don't
All
hate
right.
you. I appreciate you. And I don't hate cigars. I love them so deeply. Well, I forget who said it, but they said, if you ain't never thought about killing somebody, you ain't never been in love. This is a statement that someone made.
Ah,
And I
okay.
and I feel like that type of fiery love is how I am connected to this craft of
Right.
designing, curating, and bringing to market these combustible dead plant rods. You see.
Do you feel like it's the same foundation, like the same thing that draws you to cigars for those reasons? Is it the same reason you do jewelry or you do alcohol or you have art or something like that? Is it like what feel like? Because it's a lot of different. Are they different outlets for the same thing?
I love making shit.
Okay.
I love making things that are that that have a soul and a spirit that stems from their craft foundation, but yet
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to manipulate and to tinker with, to tamper with the tradition respectfully, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of walk this line of, although I'm going to say it and I'm going to really try very, very hard not to throw up in my mouth because it's a word that the corpos like to use a great deal, but I actually think it's suitable for this, to apply innovation
Mm-hmm.
to these craft products in a way that is respectful and evolutionary, and to genuinely offer an authentic rendition of them. Like, it's not just this product with my label on it. It's genuinely
Mm-hmm.
my rendition of this product. And each one of these craft sectors, I have dove in head first and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
abused myself for years to actually learn the process, learn what goes into it, learn the players, learn the industry. This isn't just a branding exercise. This is a brand architecture exercise, and it's something that there are obviously all the different bells and whistles that are intimate to each individual space by product and then by, industry and the commercialization of those products. But making shit is the same.
Right.
Actual creativity from nothing is the same. And it's super unique. I did feel so much at home the first time I stepped onto the floor of a cigar factory, and it took me a while to figure out why. And the why was that I felt like I was on the floor of my studio in Los Angeles, that
Okay.
there was
The
handmade
the
art.
jewelry's yeah
Yeah.
yeah
Instead of jewelers' benches, there were rolling tables,
right.
and there was handmade art that was being made, you know, and that was very that was when I really put that one together, which was a bit of a mind bender. I realized that there was this frequency that traveled through those two worlds, and ultimately, undoubtedly more, that were threaded together by the spirit, by the creative energy, you know?
So a lot of people, I'm gonna just say artists because I don't know a better way to describe it. I mean, it's your take on different things, but a lot of them, like, that's tough to control. Is there someone, either mentors or something in your past or people you looked up to or people you got advice from that help you control that? Because it's not like you just went out and go, "Hey, I'm gonna learn to make balloon animals and paper mache things and stuff out of popsicles." Things. I mean, you chose big things, and that requires a focus that most people don't realize you have. Is there something from your past, whether it's from the military or people growing up with, that just influenced that something that grounds you, that keeps you back, that you go back to, that was good advice?
I mean, all along the way, there are
Mhm,
characters that have rolled into this story cosmically at the right times with the
mhm,
right influence and right input that have all played a role in a supporting role in my story.
mhm,
Um, I think that at its core, the key component is the fact that you digitally sit face to face with one of the most stubborn fucking people you will ever encounter in 100 lifetimes. And, I didn't know what I was assigning myself to
Right.
when I started my brand. I didn't understand that I was signing my life over to it. And,
Mhm.
you go to, the fashion shows and they happen every 6 months or whatever, and you'll see the same people with a different brand every 6 months because they throw something at the wall, they see if it sticks, and on and on and on. I said, I'm going to create a brand that celebrates a 100-year anniversary, you know? And by the way, initially on the merit of its concept and products, but ultimately on the mechanics of the business moves that are made. Example one is that we carried our cigar business to acquisition with one of the largest houses in that space. So, you can say what you can say about the creative side, but there's also a method to the madness that I think you're trying to
Mhm.
dig into. And Room
Mhm.
101 Cigars will celebrate a 100-year anniversary in that
Mhm.
space.
Mhm.
And they'll talk about this fucking wild dude that had this idea, da 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 da, and there'll be a little picture and the trying to carry on the sentiment or whatever. And
Right.
how many people can say that? How many
Mhm.
people can say that their branded business was uh, had enough substance in the here and now, but at the same time will also celebrate 100 years and beyond.
So
So mhm.
go ahead. Let's
No,
talk
go
about
ahead.
that. So
Yeah.
let's talk. So let's
I'm
talk
just
about the
I'm
the
just showing
aspect
off a little
of
bit.
no. I love the aspect of the cigars. So let's talk about Room 101, the cigars, and not leave
I do
jewelry
too.
and yeah. So you sell the brand to STG now, and that creatively things are going to change. How is your role as creative director evolved under this relationship versus, like, I mean, hey, the great thing about working for yourself is you work for yourself. The bad thing for working for yourself is you work for
Is you
yourself.
work for yourself.
So now you have people to answer a little bit. Are you able to orchestrate through that maze of both corporate and maintaining what you want to be? And of course, the answer is going to be yes. But I guess the deeper question is, how do you do it?
The answer is yes, and then the answer to the other question is how, right? And so,
Right.
you know, um, it started off with, I think, a bit of shared vision and understanding from both sides. That there was only, you know, I think that they're very well aware that you can't put a leash on a rattlesnake. I also
Hmm.
think that for me on my side, from the concept that courting a much larger partner is going to be a necessary component of the evolution of our branded products, even in these other spaces. It's been a phenomenal
Hmm.
set of Jedi training for me in that world. Come with a lot of you know heavier learnings and frustrations, man. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but nothing worth something is easy either. So I think that collectively we work very well together, and they know how much space to give me to be able to continue to feel free enough to do what I need to do to
Right.
authentically apply myself to the further development of the brand and its architecture and its products and yada yada. And um I don't think I would have been ready for the opportunity years ago. you know all things in the right time. All things in the right time, man.
It's interesting you talk about learning this new it's like learning a new language, right? It's like
Yeah.
a new relationship. It's interesting that you look at that and you also think, "Hey, if I want Room 101 jewelry or I want Room 101 gin to get there, I have to learn how to play with this party
Yeah.
one way or another because it's gonna
100%.
transit." So you chose cigars because you could have had that really with any number of your lines of products, jewelry,
True.
gin, whatever. You could have chose that relationship there. You chose cigars because why? It was the easiest to orchestrate or safest to learn from,
I found, it's funny, man. All these
sell less of your
industries that
soul. I don't know.
yeah. Well, look, man, I mean, the reality is we conduct branded business in multiple industries, but the
Sure.
cigar industry from day one has always felt like home. It has
Mhm.
felt more human, more tangible, more accommodating, and just the way that I am wired as a being. I felt far more comfortable and both receptive and received in
Right.
this space. I genuinely have always felt like I found my people, in this world,
Yeah.
and timing was on our side. The launch of Room 101 in cigar form coincided with the
Hmm.
very beginnings of what was to become the craft segment of that market, you know.
Right.
And I think that that was critical in, both our brand's trajectory and cementing Room 101 as an evergreen component of the craft cigar market.
Right.
Many, many
You're
things that were revolutionary that Room 101 contributed to craft cigars have become industry standard
Yeah.
quietly in the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
people present, the types of art style that's applied, yada, yada,
Right.
yada.
Right.
Many, many roads lead back to Room 101. You know, it's not like I don't walk around, demanding my propers or bragging about it.
Right.
But if you really
Right.
look at it,
But
anybody
if
that
you
fucking
look,
knows,
sure.
if you look,
Sure.
And we're not the only ones. I mean, you could walk into a humidor that's packed full of both, uh, craft and corporate products, and you can be like, oh, that's Jonathan Drew, that's me, that's Robert Caldwell,
Right.
that's me again,
Right.
and
Right.
you can
Right.
genuinely see the touch, you know? It's part of the
Yeah.
evolution of the space.
And that's true. I mean, look, all of your products. I mean, jewelry certain did that. It has an imprint on the space. So let's talk about your cigars for a second. The name. So your cigars often reference some sort of literature or Japanese culture. How do you come up with the names? Because I'm going to tell you, years ago when I started a
Mm,
cigar company, and I was out there
mm.
searching for names in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. And I'm like, before I would, email Frank and go, "Hey, go trademark this." I learned to go do a search, and I'm doing the search, and I'm like, your name came up as having all these names in the middle of the night that I would think of and like already registered in that booth, already registered in that booth. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. How do you
That's
come up with
right.
how do you come up with these names? Like what I mean, is it just I mean, obviously
I'm
it's
kinda
such a general question, but
I'm kinda namey. I'm
mhm,
kinda namey. I like words, and this is a business of words because the words are meant to
sure.
be this way that you package this product and the way that you represent it.
Right,
It's a
right,
business of words, as well as goods, and so I liked it. It was very provocative because the opportunity to be creative as it came to wordsmithing your products was endless, you know?
right,
And then the additional challenges of like, oh, I'd like to use this word, but someone else already, has it or has alleged
right,
use of it, and we all know how that fucking works. So you move
right.
on, right? So, you know, but it was I I just thought it's always been one of the more provocative components of the space. You can
So
play and have
why
a good
why
time.
why the Japanese what was the Japanese influence in a lot of the names?
I was unknowingly, I was un hold on, wait. Unbeknownst to me,
There you
at a
go.
very earlier stage of my life, I
Right.
was already being influenced by
Mhm.
Japanese culture through my stepdad, Tom.
Mhm.
Tom is his name. And Tom grew up in a shack without plumbing in East Orange, New Jersey, and went in the
Mhm.
Air Force, and ultimately was stationed in Japan. Married a local lady, speaks and writes even brushstroke kanji,
Mhm.
uh, and ruled our household like a traditional Japanese man would. Although I didn't understand that that's what he was doing, you know.
Right, right.
But he was so heavily indoctrinated. He was Dances with Wolves, Japan. You get what I'm saying? That's what Tom is. That's the only way I can describe it, you know? And so, he and I were very much at each other as I was growing up as a young delinquent. And when I went in the Marines and deployed to Japan for the first time, it was like our relationship was completely repaired in an instant. I
Mhm.
was so overwhelmed with this appreciation and adoration of that place, that culture, the tremendously powerful images that were related to a lot of like Buddhist mythology,
Mhm.
theater, and other uh, uh, methods of expression that they had over there, and
Mhm.
systems that they had in place that were, tenfold the age of our country, and so on and so forth. And I really had an instantaneous repair of relationship with Tom because
Mhm.
of that now shared understanding and appreciation for that. And and so that again, unbeknownst to me at the time, heavily influenced um, art direction for future designs. And then from design work led in the three-dimensional space with my jewelry craft, led to design work as it was going to be applied to how we were going to represent our cigar products and beyond.
Mhm.
And
Do
it
you
all came from
start
that. It was impact.
Do you start with, so like for me there are two fun parts of cigars. There's the
Mhm.
blending part where you're playing with tobacco and you're like, oh, this is what it becomes. And then there's the what it's like naming the child and all the background that goes into it, the imagery and
Mm.
things like that. And that's just as much fun. Is there a process
Yeah,
that you start one or the other or simultaneous, or how do you look at that?
both. It totally
Mhm.
depends.
Mhm.
Inspiration comes from every direction as long as you're paying
Mhm.
attention. Um,
Mhm.
names have a way of fusing themselves into the back of my mind,
Right.
independent of projects. But like, as you know, every cigar has its own personality. And
Right.
so certain names make more sense for certain products, the same way certain names make more sense for certain people or animals because of their personality, their spirit, their soul. And cigars do contain a spirit and a soul and a personality.
Have you been so attached to a name that you go and try to seek out the blend that goes with that name? That it
Yes,
comes from that side? Yeah, really? What cigar would
100%.
that be? What cigar would that be?
Doomsayer,
Doomsayer? Okay.
Doomsayer. And, there have been a couple others, but that's the first one that comes to mind
Okay.
because it's such a
So
potent name. Also,
right, right.
Farce was
Farce?
tremendous.
Right.
Farce was like a really important exercise for us prismatically in many different directions simultaneously. Um, I think there's a bit of both in that respect related to that
Right.
brand, but yeah, it can happen, you know?
You have such unique names that have been around for a long time and thankfully will continue to be around. Is there a one that came out, because a lot of them have been around for a while. Is there one that just when you hear it just still makes you smile because you're just like, I really still love this name today as much as I did when I first put the stamp on it? Not the
Fucking
cigar
Namakubi,
blend.
man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Namakubi. And let me tell you, so here's something interesting for anyone that actually gives a shit that's listening. So
I mean, the other
Namakubi,
stuff was interesting too. If you're listening right now, the other stuff was interesting if you joined mid, but this is going to be something actually interesting. Okay, I'm with you. I just want the viewers to
actually
follow along.
actually interesting. Okay, so we'll address that later. Now, so Namakubi was actually going to be the first time that I ported. It was our third commercially released product in the space. And
Right.
many, many times I've said it was my third cigar, but my first good cigar,
Ah,
because I
okay.
was learning as I went.
Sure.
Not that the
We all
others,
do. Yeah.
not that the others were horrible, but in contrast, Namakubi, let's just say, was superior in many ways.
Right.
And 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 I also, because I was getting my sea legs underneath me at a factory level and my capability and my competency to authentically participate in the process was growing,
Right.
my passport My passport, Fred, looked as if Honduras had raped it. There were so many stamps, and they were changing shapes. I was going so often that I was watching the evolution of the passport stamp of the nation of
Hmm.
Honduras change,
Hmm.
morph, right?
Right.
And but this is what was required to genuinely apply myself to learn this space
Right.
from the nucleus, which is the manufacturer of the product. Now, Namakubi was going to be the first time that I ported this design direction, this art direction, and trade dress formula that I love so desperately from jewelry design and our house brand
Hmm.
to the combustible side of our brand. And
Right.
so that to me was important. I mean, people were just going to see this product and think it was cool, whatever. Do you remember a gentleman by the name of Mario Takayama.
Not offhand.
No
It's
shit.
not.
You don't remember
It's
Mario?
it sounds familiar.
Mario, not that you would gather by his first name, but his last name, you might suspect he may be a Japanese fellow. Now, he was and is. And he was embedded in the cigar business '09 to 12-ish. Very passionate about the space. He's since gone back to Japan, etc. But he came here to explore the world of cigars.
Okay.
And he was one of, if not the first person to create new media, digital
Okay.
media. Okay.
Okay.
And I want to say his company was called Cigar Explorer. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And he was at Big Delicious's, your friend and mine, Great Smoke in the fine state of Florida.
Okay. All right.
And he was there interviewing folks. And I relished the opportunity that Mario was going to be one of the first people that I told about this, because we were developing the project. And, you're all fucking CIA and shit when you're making
Right.
stuff,
Right.
because
Right.
people steal your shit, blah, blah,
They'll
blah.
steal it. They'll steal it. Right.
Hey, man, steal like an artist is real. Not that
Right.
that happens in this business.
No.
Now,
No.
a space that is devoid of such aforementioned treachery. Now, I tell Mario, we're talking, we're chatting, catching up. He's interviewing me. I say, Mario, I am going to release a new cigar. Now, by the way, tread with me back through the sands of time, Fred Rewey. At this time in the business, that actually meant something, because
Oh
you'd
yeah.
actually
No. Yeah.
release
Yeah.
like one release a year,
A year. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and
Those
you
are
would
good times.
develop
Those
it.
are good times.
It would take, because it would honestly take you over a year to develop
And
that.
you developed it fully, and it was thought out, and it was no, it was very
Not that our
slower pace.
products aren't
Oh no.
chock
It's
full
just
of thought and investment. It's
we
just
got to ease into things and think about them
Yeah.
a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. And very, very with and by the way, what an honest amount of focus afforded to these products to make sure that they actually seeded and market correctly.
Right.
This is the path to real brand building, by the way.
Right.
I mean, we could.
And I want everybody to know, though, at this point in time, we're talking about, I had Nomad, you had Room 101. There were
Mhm.
guys out there. It was scrapper times. We didn't have resources of a pool of marketing guys. We didn't have resources of, accountants telling us what we had to do on there. So, I mean, when you say we had time to do it, it's because we had to figure it out.
Well,
I
it was
mean,
also, it was build by design, and the
Right.
marriage of all of these elements and survival.
being
Right.
key. Yeah.
But don't surrender to the survival.
So,
Own
so
it,
you're
live
all
with-
you're all in on this, and you're going to
Yes.
tell him. You're going to tell him what it is.
And I tell him, I say, Mara, I'm going to release this new cigar. I say, really? What will it be called? And I say, Mario, it will be called Namakubi. And his response was, whoa. And I said, perfect. That's what I
Perfect.
wanted. I wanted
Right.
a real, an authentic-
Unfiltered. Yeah.
I wanted one of our real brothers from the East to take the impact of that name, because that name means freshly severed head. It also can be considered to be cursed. Like, it's a heavy
Mhm.
word, Namakubi.
Right. Okay.
But I was not going to call my cigar like the Buddha cigar, or name it
Right,
cigar in
right.
Japanese, or some contrived bullshit.
Right.
I was going to name it something of course significance, so that, and my intention was that a Japanese person would see that product and say, this is made by an outsider, but it's made by an outsider that has a real respect for what the fuck is going on over here, and has some sort
Right.
of catching vibe with us, right?
Right.
That was my goal, to make something that was authentic. And his response told me everything I needed to know, that I was on the right track.
That's-
And so
that's-
Namakubi was born.
I don't think that, when I look at that logo, and I think I finally wore out my shirt that had it on there. You may have made me a bracelet that has something on there. I don't think in the boutique. I was going to limit this sentence to the boutique world, but I can't think of anything else. An imagery in the cigar world that just everybody kept gravitating towards. I mean, it really left an impression across the board. Then everybody tries to get in a logo, they try to get in imagery, but you pulled it off with that one. I mean, you really did.
Well, man, and that also comes down to the spirit and the soul of your artwork, right? Like
Right.
all my lettering was drawn by hand. That image was drawn by a very good friend of mine, Chewy Kinstanar, who is a very accomplished tattoo artist that I do other projects with, but I gave him one of my first ring designs of that
Hmm.
character. And I said, I
Hmm.
need this translated into the two dimension. I need this to
Hmm.
be able to be represented in a positive, negative kind of stencilized fashion, but communicate the volume of all these shapes and be this, but as a graphic design. And that was drawn by hand. And I believe that people, yeah, and obviously it's cool. I think it could be considered cool, but I also think that it has spirit and soul because of the process
Oh, no
from
question.
how it
No
was
question.
developed. Mhm.
Yeah. How do you, as things get bigger and jewelry gets bigger and cigars get bigger, how do you protect the authenticity of that as it gets bigger? As I don't want to say commercialized because that's not a good term, but a lot more
That's
jewelry out
fair.
there, a lot more cigars out there. It starts showing up on different things. Now with somebody like STG, now the imagery. How do you maintain that authenticity? Not just on that, but on anything that you do. Because as an artist, the worst thing you can do is sign over and go, okay, we're gonna change this however we want to change it or whatever. And how do you maintain
Yeah.
that? How do you
No,
control that?
that's a fair question. I think the answer is simple, is I continue to make it, is I continue to touch it and I continue to guide it. You know? If I extracted myself from the situation, it would be like tearing the brand's soul out from its body, you know?
Right.
And so it's that simple.
So
I
you've
mean,
designed.
simply
Well,
complex.
yeah, simply complex. Your Room 101 was famous, especially on the jewelry side, for collaborations in jewelry
Mhm,
for like Snoop Dogg, Guy Fieri.
mhm.
What project taught you the most about being flexible as a designer? Because we already know you're a control person. You're hard headed. But what project taught you that you had to be flexible, or have you ever been flexible?
You know, man, I learned so much about my overall business and approach to brand
Hmm.
from the cigar world. I owe it a tremendous amount of credit because I grew so much as a creator in that space, and I grew so much as a businessman and operator in that space that I was able to further apply that evolved state of mind and process to these other parts of our business as they grew as well. And I think that, I mean, it's funny because when you asked me that question, the first thing that popped up into my mind was the San Andreas blend
Hmm.
in 2011 ish. San Andreas was something that I didn't necessarily care for myself, but I
Okay.
worked very, very hard to develop that blend with that factory because I knew that that profile, that many smokers were very receptive to that. And it was the
Hmm.
first project where I was so vested in making something truly for someone else. It's just like you're sitting at the cigar bar with a group of your friends and a row of, women walk by, or dudes, or small farm animals, whatever everybody's into, you understand, these days. But you people are going to be super receptive to one more than the rest based on
Right.
chemistry.
Right.
There's chemistry, man. And there's all these things that are inside you that predispose you to being more receptive to one thing or another. And that rattles down through taste, through things you ingest audibly, music, visually, art, you know, um, and and applying myself to the development of a product like that was genuinely, it had to be you know, you could, and simultaneously, you could see that group of men, women, Shetland ponies and say, I know that that person is 150% for someone else, but not for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's the same with cigars. Like you can respect the construction, you can respect the blend composition, the balance, and be like, hey, just on a taste basis, not exactly my shit, but a rad cigar.
Right.
And that's what San Andreas was for me. Also, kind of interesting because at the time, I remember having people get in my ear about like, Booth, why are you calling it San Andreas? This is like a less than respected tobacco. This is not now.
Right.
Remember, this is at the time.
No, back then, yeah, back then, a lot of people were using it and wouldn't disclose it in the blend.
It was almost like you're out gutter sledding with your tobacco or something. And I was like,
Right. Right.
but that's what it is. And that's what it tastes like. And that's what the fuck I'm going to call it because that's
Hmm.
honest.
Right.
Because I'm a simpleton when it comes to things like that, right? Which has been a blessing and a curse, sometimes almost my fucking undoing in my business path, and then also my greatest currency simultaneously. And then years
Right.
later, it's no longer, uh, this thing that's uh, like a less than spoken secret and something that's more frontally represented. I don't really think that we were so groundbreaking or that we had influence over that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that time changes things also, you know.
Do you have any projects that just, I guess, missed the mark? Or you're just like, man, I really wish that would have come into play, but it didn't, something that just never got to see the light of day.
Well, there thing man, that's like the coolest thing that never was yet.
So
Interesting, right?
for those of you that don't know, because you're listening to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify, I'm holding up a cereal box that is Room 101 Uncle Lee that never came to fruition, that has killer artwork on it. It's actually a cereal box, but
Mhm.
just too far out there for what it needed to be.
At the time. Well, and I got to be honest with you, Fred Rewey, the things that genuinely haven't seen the light of day, I won't discuss because I'm not, you know, there's no free
No,
brand
yeah, yeah,
consultation as a byproduct of your show, but there are
right,
things that I would like to highlight because I think this is a value um, for entrepreneurs in any space. Some of our greatest success stories were born from the embers of what would be in the very moment considered a failure
right.
and a change in direction and a change in velocity made. Okay, so for example, Johnny Tobacco. This is a Grand Slam certified, globally distributed fucking home run hit brand that
Right.
transcends category and
Hmm.
is featured in various ways on a myriad of different products.
Hmm.
And that brand off the starting blocks was a failure,
Right. Right.
you know, or could have been considered to be a failure. And the products that were failed at the time have become hyper collectible.
Hmm.
And I mean, there are boxes of those cigars that are selling for six, 800, $1,000 in the collector market now.
Wait, I can sell this box.
You could probably sell that box for sure. Make a
I'm
couple
sure I
bucks,
could.
bro. It's free
No,
for it's
no, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. It hangs up in my office. So,
you're so
you're
flirtatious.
I know I am. You love to travel. You
I
travel
love it. I
and
absolutely
and
love it.
and and you're always in a lot of different places. Is there a place that you just, always want to go back to, that you love, that you just feel like, hey, I was here in another life, or just love the whole vibe and the whole scene of it?
I mean, several places. I fucking love Paris, man. I fucking love that
Yeah.
town. I think it's one of the greatest to ever do it. You know, um, I genuinely catch a vibe in Japan. I
Hmm.
catch a vibe in the cities, and I catch a vibe, in a very small island off the east coast of the larger island called Naoshima.
Hmm.
Which is a very, very sleepy, quiet, art island, and it's fucking amazing. I would go there and vanish. You know, it's funny. I was there eating noodles at a little spot, and the owner insisted throughout the course of my entire meal. He said, you live here?" And I said, "No, I'm just visiting." He said, "No, no, you live here." And I said, "No, I'm just visiting." And I'm like, "Hold on a second. We all look the fucking same. Put a couple tattoos and the long hair and this guy.
Right, right.
I know what's going on here, you know." But he said, "No, genuinely, you have a brother that lives here." And I said, "No." And he said, and the dude was staring. He was so intense on this issue. I was like, "Oh my God, there's another version of me that he's met from another space-time continuum because
Oh
I
no.
love this place so much that I am
Right,
also
right,
here
right.
somehow."
Hmm.
And it had to be. I believe that. So there are a couple places that, yeah, and for very, very different reasons. I think travel is the best medicine and best school that anyone could go to and receive. And I think that every time you go somewhere new, the world gets a little bit smaller. And
Yeah.
I do love traveling. Yeah.
Tell me, I've known
Horny
two
for
Matt
it.
Booths. I
Tell
know
me.
two Matt Booths. I know the Matt
Two.
Booth that
Only two?
was well. There are several civil personalities here, but I know the Matt Booth before having a kid, and now you have a son, and I know the Matt Booth after. And I have to say, in all honesty, no bullshit, you as a father, you are a tremendous father. And I know you and I know your family, and I've
Thanks,
seen
man.
you interact with them. And it's just not, I don't want to say I didn't see it coming, because you have a persona that you have that's one. And look, we all have multiple personalities, and we all project different personalities to different groups. But tell me about the transition of becoming a father and what that was for you personally.
I can say with absolute confidence that I wasn't shit before I became a dad. And I am so connected to my son in ways that I could never possibly summon the words to describe appropriately. All I know is that from a very, very early age with him, I remember when it first hit me. I was walking him across the street. This is, you know, when we still lived downtown LA. And I was walking him across the crosswalk holding his hand. And I felt like fucking King Kong. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
I felt this just wave of evolutionary energy, to like a Thailand tidal wave taking me down for the count. You know, I feel like they say that, you know, it changes everything about you, and I think that it just amplifies and summons um, and helps you to evolve components of your character that are all part of you, that are just brought out by uh,
So
being a parent.
what did he bring out in you? What were you not necessarily surprised by, but what did it ground you? Did it give you more direction on certain things? Take yourself
It's
less
still,
seriously?
yeah, I mean, all of the above. I mean, I think that he cemented, you know, a mission to progress and grow,
Mhm.
uh, both personally, spiritually and emotionally and professionally, because all of those provide care for him and provide the platform for him to do the same, to
Mhm.
explore, to express, to create, to grow safely and securely, you know? Um, my son, we were all in Japan as a family. This was like a year ago, and we were staying very close to the Ginza, and it was late in the evening, and my son grabbed me and said, "Dad, we need to go on a man walk. I want to speak with you about something." Okay. I'm like, "Cool, let's go." And so my son and I walk out on the Ginza, which is a magical place at night. And, you know,
Sure.
it's a little less full of people, bright lights, yada, yada. And, uh, and he tells me, he says, "Dad, I want you to teach me how to be free." And he said, I see what you go through in your business and all the stress that you have that's all centered around finances and this and that and the other. And he says, I never want to live like that. He said, I don't need I
Wow.
promise you, these are his words. He
Wow.
says, I don't need a plane. Fucking ridiculous that he said that. He said, I just don't want to have to worry about how I'm going to pay for my apartment and my food. And I want to live my life and I want to be free. And I said, my son, I will
Wow.
teach you. My entire
Yeah.
life and generationally from where we came, which was not a place of comfort or affluence,
Right.
to
Right.
building what we have over the course of my entire life, all of that will lead up to a level of understanding that I can create a system for you to understand what you need to do to be free. And I said, but
Mhm.
the first step is already accomplished, which is that attitude and that perspective.
Yeah, perspective. I mean, he knew to ask the question. That's big right there, and he
It's
knew
a
to identify
fucking
that.
9-year-old boy
Yeah.
asked
Yeah.
me that. So just let that
What
sit in.
yeah.
Fuck. I mean, I've got,
How
like I have to rise to the occasion.
how do you maintain a work-life balance to be a father and to be as all in as you are
Yeah.
on so many different things? How do you balance that?
I'm all in on my relationship with my beautiful wife and my
Mhm.
son
Mhm.
more than I'm in as much or more than I'm in on any business endeavor. And many times, you know, and by the way, whenever it is possible, I take them with me. If I have
Yes,
to
I've seen
leave,
yeah, yeah, I always see him traveling with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I have
He
to
has
go
he
somewhere,
has more miles than most people do.
it's fucking crazy. I have made a practice of, even if it's digital, I make them print out his boarding pass, and we have every boarding pass of
Oh,
his
wow, that's cool.
saved, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and so, uh, it is actually kind of wild, his travel history, but I want my son to be a citizen of the world
Mhm.
because I believe from the beginning stages of his development, it'll create such a different perspective. I mean,
Mhm.
one that it took me a lifetime to be able to participate in, you know?
Right, right.
And and so I do try, and there are trips that I go on with the velocity is just too high, and
Mhm.
it would
Sure.
be only stress for myself and for them and doesn't make sense. And they stay at home. But whenever and however I can, I always try to take them with
Mhm.
me, and
Yeah,
I feel that
I
that's
mean,
a big part of it.
he's a great kid. I still regret making corn that had some sort of spice in it when we cooked dinner at your house one time. I don't think he'll ever forgive me for that. Um,
He will not.
he he will not. But that was one of those moments where I realized you were such a great dad. And for everybody listening, what happened is that we were cooking at Matt's house, and I brought over a salt block, and we cooked steaks on the salt block, and
Awesome.
he wanted a hot dog. It's the only hot dog I've ever cooked on a salt block just to see if it could. And we brought over corn, and he loves corn.
He does
And
love corn.
but I had put some sort of spice in it. It wasn't even hot, but there's some sort of spice, and he was destroyed. I literally wrecked him that night, and I remember him sobbing, and I remember you. This is a dad moment where I saw you, and you're like, I don't know how to help you. Like, how can I help you on this? And it was just such a dad moment. And I have seen you in several situations with family and other people that I won't go into. And your level of patience, absolutely amazing. How do you go there to that level of sereneness? I don't even know if that's a real word. But
We're gonna use it.
well, I've already said it, so we'll see if if the captions come up correctly. But um, how do you find that place in those moments? Because that's when you are just that. And again, with your kid, you have. I don't know how you do it.
Well, man, I think if you genuinely care,
Right.
that's automatic. You know,
Right.
even with customers of our brand, if I'm at a trade evolution, I get teased by my peers. They're like, "Oh, don't walk to the bathroom with Booth. It'll take a fucking hour because he talks to everybody." And I'm like, "But how can I not,
True.
man?
True. Very true.
Because
If you're
these
listening.
it is true." But the reality is like, I see someone and I'm like, "Hey, man, how how is it with that thing we discussed last time? And what are you doing? How have you been? And, because I do care and
Right.
genuinely, it's not just like, oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Blah, 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 blah. And
Right.
then,
Right.
business guy, and then leave, I do care. And, and I think that there are a lot of people in the room that laugh at someone like that under their breath because they're like, oh, this guy, he doesn't get it. And then, but we can discard them as the human
Right.
fecal material that they are, lack of substance. And then we can say they're the ones that hear that and be like, oh, this motherfucker's on the level or on this level.
Right.
And that
Right.
means something. And to the people that it means something with, you achieve this victory that is worth all these other the flushings, the flushing.
Right. Right. Right.
Oh my
The
God, those are
flushings.
flushings. They're the
Of
flushings.
course. Of course. The flushings. If you
So
could design, let me ask you, if you could design a piece of jewelry, because you design a lot of jewelry. I mean, I don't think
yeah,
a lot of people know that.
all the
If
time.
you could, if you could design a piece of jewelry for any historical figure, who would it be and what would it look like?
Oh fuck, Rick James.
James,
Rick James.
what are
If
you
your
designing for
spirit,
Rick James?
Mr. James, you many, many times as I was a young dude working the light board at the Whiskey A Go Go, you were up the block at the Rainbow, indulging yourself in many things. And I was yet a block away from you and never had the opportunity to meet you on this physical plane, Mr. James, St. James. But I, I feel his vicious and viscous cosmic energy just
Hmm.
just embracing me in this
Hmm.
moment, a man that writes a song called Give It To Me. What an amazing spirit. He says he comes home.
Hmm.
I don't care that I smell like hose and liquor and other things. Give it to me. Give it to
Hmm.
me right now because I love you and I want
Hmm.
to be with you and participate in that love forcefully,
What
possibly.
do you what do you design
Huh.
for him? What do you design for him?
I mean, I don't want to be cliche, but it would be like a custom, you know, nose powdering kit, like a fine gentleman with a powdered wig might have had in the 1800s.
I love it.
Sleek, modern, sexy, custom,
All right.
bespoke from my atelier
I
in Los Angeles.
I'm guessing one of these is going to be on the list, but you could have a dinner party with any three artists, living or dead. Who would they be with? I mean,
Could
obviously,
it
now
also be my man Rick? Oh my
and
God.
that's one of the three. It would have to be.
I but here's the deal. There are a couple people that their genuine spirit bleeds through,
Hmm.
in their presentation. A lot of
Hmm.
some people are genuinely themselves. And when, you crank the volume knob, if you're trying to make a point or trying to present in a certain way, but a lot of people are just themselves with the volume knob adjusted. I think
Hmm.
Johnny Depp is one such fellow cosmic weirdo. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't know each other and there are decades of shielding and the business and industry scarring that would prevent us maybe from having an
Maybe.
authentic exchange. But I think if we really got down to it, I think him and I would have a very nice conversation, and I would like to share a moment with him, you know and we're
Okay.
still both alive. Great, we could do it in this time
It,
frame.
it,
you know
it could happen. He's probably
yeah,
listening to the show. So yeah, well, reach out.
I wouldn't doubt for a second. Now, um who else, man? Somebody like it would have to be somebody really fucking wild from like a while ago. You know? I mean, I think Genghis Khan would be interesting. I think the dude would be like a savage. Genghis Khan, for some reason, makes me think of like, now, I want this to be understood and tabled with respect and adoration because it is, but it's also vibrantly honest what I'm about to say. I work with many people in manufacturing that are very well-to-do savages that have
Right.
clawed themselves out of the gutter and become
Yeah. Yeah.
multimillionaires, like narco level money,
Right.
right?
Right.
Off
Right.
their
Right.
craft, but they're still a savage. I
Right.
love them. I imagine eating dinner with Genghis Khan would be like having one of our cigar dinners where we go down to the factory
Yeah. I
in
feel like
some way.
you would need silverware. I feel like you just the
And
table
there,
settings become a lot
no, no,
easier.
he would probably become violent with you if you had silverware. He'd be like, "What the fuck is
Probably.
this
Yeah, it would be
nonsense?"
good. Keep it out of his arm's reach, I think would be a good idea.
You should probably have your shit together if you sit down with the con. You know what I mean?
I would think so.
Yeah. But
What
Mhm.
go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
think it would be very interesting. What a virile man.
Yeah.
Lot of seeding.
Yeah.
That man.
What so you've traveled a lot. You seem to have no fear as far as foods. What's the
Rick James
wildest
Genghis
food?
Khan.
What's the wildest food
Oh,
you've ever eaten? Like what's just the
fucking raw
strangest?
chicken sashimi.
Oh no. Oh,
I mean,
really?
I've had the puffer. I mean, you want to talk
Yeah.
interesting, or you want to talk because I've
Interesting.
had
Interesting.
the blowfish.
Yeah.
The blowfish. Yeah, because it could have been
Is that
death.
fugamaki? Fugamaki, is that right?
I don't remember the name,
Yeah, I'm probably wrong. Okay.
but the puffer fish that
Yeah.
has poison. If it's not prepared
Yeah.
correctly, it
If
can't
it's
kill you.
not done right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
And
are you a cook? Or do you like to cook?
no, you should ask Nikki about my crock pot story that she likes to tell. She likes to revel in this nostalgia.
Oh,
The crock pot
now
story,
I need to know the crock pot story.
the crock pot story basically illustrates my ineptitude as it relates to the preparation of food items.
Go tell the
I
story. You
cannot.
have to.
No,
You
I
have
can't tell. She has to tell it. I can't tell it. I
oh, okay.
say,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't cook. I don't try. I don't want to. I love to consume
Right.
thoughtfully prepared foods and quality meals. I do love it, but I don't do it myself. Absolutely not. If you
What
want to
would
go
you
to the fucking hospital, eat something that I've made for you.
good to know. If you
Yeah.
weren't running Room 101, if the jewelry didn't exist, the cigars didn't eat, what's something in the back of your head you're like, "Oh, maybe someday I wanna try this," or something,
I always tell people when they talk about how far we've come with our business and all this stuff, I always say I should have been a fireman.
a fireman.
I should have been a fireman, but what really stuck out in my mind is I remember long ago when I was living in Hollywood. It's like 2000, 2001. They were still building the Hollywood and Highland for, now it's like
Mm,
this old ass like mall that nobody goes to. This is
right,
before it existed. Amazing.
right.
Like we've lived through its entire life cycle. There was a newsstand and they had these really dope paper newsstands in Hollywood in different areas, right? And they're all but closed down now long since. But there
Sure.
was this shack of a newsstand, not at Hollywood and Highland, but it was I don't even remember what the name. It's the next block
Right,
on the other
right.
side of Man's Chinese Theater, just a small kind of side street. I would have to look it up. It's the one that T-bones into the Magic Castle, I believe, if
Okay,
I'm thinking
okay.
of it correctly. There was a small newsstand on the corner. And I remember driving by one night at like, 3 in the morning, out with the vampires. And there was a young lady that was working in there and she was kind of like dancing around, entertaining herself. And I thought, once I make it, once I make enough scratch that I don't have to like scrape and struggle to make just a
Right.
daily living every day, I'm going to come back and I'm going to fucking work at that newsstand solely for the experience. And
Yeah.
I'm going to work nights and I'm going to hang out on Hollywood Boulevard and have all the conversations and all the hobo poo poo pee pee and all the fucking crazy shit and get into the altercations with the Chewbacca guy, and all that stuff. Because he was crazy, if anybody remembers him.
Yeah, yeah.
Chewbacca was crazy.
But where does the fireman come in?
That's just another dimension of like, I should have been
Okay,
responsible and been a
several
fireman.
things. Responsible, yes.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What's
The newsstand.
what's next? What's next for Room 101?
More of the same?
Yeah, that's
More of the same.
It's not like it's not a lot going on already. I
Yeah,
mean,
more of
it's
the
not a
same.
bad path. It's not a bad path.
I mean, look, we're working to build our brand in a couple different industries simultaneously. Uh, you know, fighting through and surviving the ebbs and flows of, everything that is around us while continuing to push forward. So it's more of the same.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
What you're going to do is you're going to go
Don't
on
give your
Al
phone.
Gore's
Don't give.
internet.
Do not give your phone number out.
Absolutely not. I was going to dox your number, but I don't have it
Yeah,
committed
I
to memory.
appreciate. I know none of us remember phone numbers anymore. If it wasn't on speed dial, none of us could find a random location without I was gonna say MapQuest. Oh man, that's
I know what you mean.
Waze,
Yeah.
Google Maps.
So you're going to go on Al Gore's internet, and what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Instagram, and you're going to look me up personally. You'll find me. You look under my name, find me. You find at Room 101 brand. You're going to find at Room 101 cigars. You're going to find at Room 101 gin. And you are going to click follow of each of those, and you will become enchanted. You will become privy to products that are releasing, secretive information that is not disseminated to the world so readily, but yet again is somehow ish. And this is the way that you will find. You will engage, you will become enchanted, and you will never look back.
It's very true. It is a enjoyable rabbit's hole. Matt, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you.
Thanks, dude. Thank you.